Andrea and I were back with a first quarter 2016 update on the trends in the semiconductor and semiconductor equipment markets. The quarter came in negative. As we said last year, conditions had continued to get bad, and they continue to get worse into the first quarter. So we're going to be talking about what happened. We're going to be talking about what's going on right now, which actually we're beginning to become more positive. If you recall, last year we were more negative at this time going into it because we saw it really early on. Now I think we're beginning to see the end of it. So we're going to have a conversation about this with Andrea Lati, also with VLSI Research. He's one of our most respected analysts, and this is WeVision. I'm Dan Hutcheson, and welcome to the program, Andrea.
It's good to be back.
So, first quarter.
Well, first quarter turned out to be weaker than we expected, so we were pretty busy downgrading our forecasts again, mainly in the semiconductors and also the electronics. In terms of the electronics market, we were forecasting initially a 3% increase in the previous update, and now we're seeing the year at about 0.5% growth, which is really weak. First quarter was very weak for electronic sale. As everybody knows, Apple had a pretty rough quarter.
And last year was weak for electronics too, the whole year.
It was.
That was one of the big issues, right?
Correct. And actually, if you look at the sequential decline in Q1 of this year was about 17 to 18%, and last year it was roughly 14%, so well below the seasonality that we typically see in Q1. Same thing played with the IC market. IC sales fell about 7% sequentially, which was also weaker than what we saw at the same time a year ago. And it was also down about 6% on yearly basis. So clearly the IC market is still in downturn territory, negative territory. There have been some positive signs, but what triggered us to downgrade the forecast for ICs from I believe was 2.5% in the last update that we had to minus 1.5% was really a rise in the inventories, primarily at the die banks. And the issue there is really that the demand has been weak, and companies somewhat overbuilt with the hopes that demand would pick up. And that's really going to be, I believe, somewhat of a headwind as we move in the second half of the year.